You've probably heard how long it takes to get a government job. You know this, I know this, and even the federal government has admitted that it takes too long to hire. When you look at the private sector, they often are able to move in days or weeks when it comes to hiring. Now, the government, they don't deal with weeks. It's more like months, or it could even take over a year in some cases. The private sector is incentivized to expedite their hiring. They're incentivized to move quicker. The government doesn't have that financial incentive. So what often ends up happening is you have HR that can move slow. But it's not just them, it's also the hiring manager. What are they doing throughout the day? They're prioritizing different tasks. They were supposed to look at multiple resumes, but they pushed that off to next week. And next week turns into 2 weeks from now, and they still haven't done it. This all prolongs the hiring process. And when it comes to getting past HR and getting past the hiring manager, sometimes the best qualified person doesn't make it through because they don't have the right subject matter expert on the panel looking at it. So no assumptions can be made. You could be the best qualified individual, but your resume isn't up to par, and HR will never refer you to the actual hiring manager. And in some cases, they will bring in subject matter experts for technical fields. If you're an engineer, if you're an IT specialist, they'll try to bring in a subject matter expert, but it doesn't always happen, and that is a problem. I've spoken with a few hiring managers just in the last couple of months, and they were telling me they need people in their office. They want to hire employees to work for them, but they can't get HR to post the job announcement. It's been 9-10 months, and the job announcement is still not on USAJobs.gov. They're incredibly frustrated. They're understaffed. So obviously, there is a huge problem. Now, the government has admitted this. So much so that they're now starting a contest. OMB is starting a contest with some other agencies, and they're willing to pay because they understand that when it comes to incentives, people like money. People want money. So the government is willing to give a total of $880,000 in prize money to the person or group that fixes the federal hiring process. This challenge is primarily focused on the tech sector. So the IT folks, the cybersecurity, the AI, those type of individuals, it's hard to attract them, to get them to come into the federal government. And once they have come in, it's hard to retain them. And the main reason why is they can't pay the same as the private sector. You go work for Google or Facebook or a company like that, you're able to command a $200,000, $300,000 salary in a lot of cases. If you have that skill set, if you're bringing that value to the company, they're going to reward you financially. Government, there's a max right now. The max salary in most government positions is $191,000 a year. And that's at the GS-15 when you max it out around step 7, step 8, depending on where you live. So this is how the challenge will work. It will be in 3 phases. The first phase is writing and submitting concept papers on how you're going to fix the hiring process. Now, the top 3 papers submitted will be awarded $60,000 apiece. The deadline for this is February 29th, 2024. This concept paper needs to be between 4 and 10 pages, and there's a list of requirements on what it should include. I'm going to leave the link to the website down below in case you want to enter the challenge. The next phase is program design and classroom activity. Then the final phase is a pilot of the first cohort. The final pilot will be given to a class of 30 federal employees in Washington, D.C. And these people are probably going to have an HR background. Now, for every horror story of a person taking a year and a half to actually get their federal government job, there are also stories of people that are able to get a federal job in under 3 months, in under 2 months in some rare circumstances. So there is no consistency when it comes to getting a federal government job. I'm asked often, how long does it take? And the answer I always give is between 4 and 6 months. Once you start applying, that's the time frame that you should have in your mind. Now, of course, what type of risk is the position? Is it a security clearance position? Is it a top secret clearance position? Or where will you be working? Is it an overseas thing? Are you going to be in Japan or Italy? There are a lot of considerations that come with this. When it comes to you applying for the job, you have to keep in mind that human resources, they do not have the same skills and abilities as you. So if you're in a technical field like engineering, or you're in a separate field than HR, you have to spell it out on your resume. You cannot use acronyms. You cannot use technical words that make the person that's reading it completely lost. But you always have to consider in your mind, a subject matter expert might not be on the panel. They might not be there helping HR. So how can you explain what you have done in a way that pretty much anyone can understand it? That's what you need to keep in mind when you're writing your resume. All right, so will this $880,000 in prize money, will it do anything to actually fix the federal hiring process? If it improves efficiency by even 5% or 10%, that could save millions of dollars for the federal government, and it can cut off days or maybe weeks and get people onboarded quicker. Now, this is just for the tech folks, like I mentioned earlier, but if it works, if they're able to streamline this process, then it can easily start spreading to other areas in the federal government, to administrative professionals, or to, other type of professionals throughout the government. If you are currently stuck in the federal hiring process, it can be frustrating. But what you should be focused on right now is not waiting to hear back. You should be focused on applying to the next opportunity. I talk to so many individuals that are frozen in time once they have gone on an interview because they're waiting. They're waiting to hear back. They really want the job. And one of the worst things that you can do is actually just sit on your hands and wait. You should be applying to other opportunities in your area, maybe even higher GS grades than the one that you were referred to or the one that you're waiting for the interview. So don't limit yourself, have a range. Let's say you just interviewed for a GS 11, you're waiting on that. What's stopping you from applying to GS 12s? Look at the specialized experience. A lot of people meet that, but they're afraid because it's a certain number. It's a GS 13, GS 14, and they're a little intimidated by that number, but you shouldn't be. Look for those opportunities and keep applying while you're waiting to hear the results of all the other jobs that you've applied to. If you are completely new to the federal hiring process, you should know the steps. What will come next? You apply, you get referred, and then what is the next step? If you're interested in that, then I want you to watch this video next. If you would like to see more videos like this, please click like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.